right, welcome back to All Hitches, Nova's number one football podcast. Coach Mesa, how's it going, bud?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Enjoying some decent weather. Starting to get a little bronze tan here from being outside in the spring sun.
Uh, you have two dogs, three dogs.
I currently
Yeah.
we have two dogs and a cat.
Now, when you bought your dogs, were they for you, or were the kids say we want a pet? I mean, what when you bought them?
I mean, probably the kids wanted a pet. We looked and looked and looked, saw a dog at the pound, Ferris County
Okay.
Pound,
Okay.
that we liked on the
You,
website. A lot of times you get to the you get there and that one's not there. They haven't updated it. We got there. I locked eyes with Ozzy. Ozzy locked eyes with me, and they're looking around. Some like kind of wimpy looking dogs. Ozzy's half American Bulldog, half Pit Bull, and yeah, Ozzy's got a patch. He's a gorgeous looking dog. I said, guys, I found him. This is the guy. And they all come over. And once you see him,
yeah.
they're like, yeah, that's the one. And it was awesome. So it started off with them. Once they kind of got me, I was in. Now, the other dog it was all them because I'm good with just one. And they wanted something small. So they went and they adopted a Chihuahua.
Okay.
Oof. I mean, those things are, and I love the dog. He's great. He's cute. He's not a mean Chihuahua. He's half beagle, but he looks like a Chihuahua. But I'm a one dog guy. I'm a one pet guy. You know.
So when we moved out here, one of the conditions, because I mean it's tough bringing Grace. Grace was in the fourth grade, and going to the fifth grade, and she'd always wanted a dog. And where we were living, we were renting at the time, and we were renting for a while, and we couldn't get a dog. She really wanted a dog. She wanted a pet. We tried other pets, but I mean nothing's like a dog. So one of the conditions was she got a dog. So by the time we got here, oddly enough, my dad decided to. My dad came home from the airport and had a beagle. Had a beagle. We got Cooper, and she was so happy to have a dog. But I was like, somewhere along on the way, he stopped being her dog, and he started being my dog because I've been wanting to take care of it all the time.
Yeah.
Like I started thinking about this the other day as I'm cleaning up his poop out of the outside. I'm like, I didn't ask for a dog. But somewhere, and don't get me wrong, Cooper, I love Cooper. He's my guy. I don't know. I don't know if you ever had like a beagle, but
I
like
did. I had a beagle. That was our first family dog.
they are the most affectionate dogs. They're probably the best family dog you can have, right? They're not really vicious.
Yeah.
They do need some exercise, but for the most part, they come up to you. They lay next to you, right? Because they're very much want to be part of the family. And like I said, I love Cooper. He's my guy. I take him on walks and play with him all the time. He's really
Biscuit. His name was Biscuit, and loved Biscuit. He was a great dog.
But yeah, I always think to myself, I didn't ask for a dog, but here he is. I now have a dog.
Yeah, we do all the work. We do
We
all
do all the work. And then eventually you're right, you build that relationship with the dog, and you're like, well, I guess he's my guy. I guess he's my guy. But this is gonna sound kind of morbid. I saw a comedian say, when you buy a dog, what you're really doing is you're buying heartbreak because you're gonna outlive the dog. And I think to myself all the time. And then I don't know, on social media, people post them saying goodbye to their dog in their last days. Oh, it kills me all the time because then you look at your dog and you're like, that's
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, I can't watch those videos. I've been through it with our first dog,
Yeah.
and I still think about it because
Yeah.
Aiden is 19.
Yeah.
Aiden was about 4 years old
Yeah.
when Biscuit passed, and it's about 15 years ago. But that just seeing my 4-year-old say goodbye to the dog.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
But the other thing I learned about dogs was this is that every dog breed over time, because they become so associated with man, have developed their facial muscles to be able to look sad and be able to get their ways. There's one breed of dog that does not have that. Do you know what breed of dog that is?
That doesn't have those
The ability to make like the sad eyes and all that other stuff. There's one breed. I'll give you one. We're not gonna go on a half-hour guessing game, but
Doberman.
it is not a Doberman. It's a Husky. The
Mm.
reason is Huskies by trade, I guess, lack for a better term, are sled dogs. So they always had a work to do. That's how they bred them to kind of do things, right? They're always front leading the sled, dragging things, and then stepped outside. Right, they're really good cold weather dogs. So they never.
Well, they're kind of like wolves, man,
Yeah,
aren't they?
but they
They
never
really are.
developed. They never developed those facial muscle features over millennia to take advantage of man. To be able to get what they want. Right.
Well, this is it's like the Jack Hanna hour, right? So it's like- Speaking of
Yes.
dogs and specifically wolves,
Yep.
oh, we got the head wolf on today.
We
We
do.
got Coach Obie Woods from the Loudoun Sports Academy, the Loudoun Sports Academy Timberwolves.
Yeah. We have another academy popping the same year. Do we see a rivalry going on with this? Could we see the battle of the Titans starting to emerge?
I think so. I mean, when we had Coach Dio on, a few weeks back, and we said we're excited about what could be the rivalry of the future, right? The academy rivalry,
Yeah.
and this could be it.
Do we have Ryu versus Ken from Street Fighter?
Yes.
They both have the same kind of moves. They both. I think we may be seeing the development of that.
Yeah, it's the academy rivalry. It's like, like you said, Ryu, Ken, Bobcat, and Sweet Chuck. They're in the academy. They're in the police academy.
Mario and Wario.
Mario. I mean, this is going to be fun. It will be fun. They play each other, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I had so many questions, and I know you did too. And just finding out, kind of the things to find out about, the new academy, getting it off the ground, and all that it entails, and all that kind of stuff in a part of town. I say town as entire Northern Virginia, and the part of town that you and I really haven't had a strong foothold in. We haven't been done too much Loudoun.
Yeah, we reached out to Loco Sports many times to try to do a collaboration with them, and they I guess they'd rather run all verticals and all hitches. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep this positive today and not get on my soapbox about the Loco Sports. So I'll say that for another time. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of our first step into Loudoun here, and I think like Casablanca, this could be the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Yeah, hope everybody gets a chance to hear what's going on the western side of Northern Virginia.
That's right. That's right. So go ahead and let's check this out now. Coach Obie Woods. Hope you guys enjoy this one. All right. Well, welcome back. We got Coach Obie Woods from the Loudoun Sports Academy joining us today. I'm excited about this one, Coach. I know we were going to go last week, and I know you were under the weather. I hope you're feeling better.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, my house was ravaged by that flu bug, man.
It's been going around.
Yeah, I saw that.
We're excited, man. We're excited to have you.
Thank you, fellas. I'm excited to be here, man. Thanks for inviting me on.
So, why don't you tell us all a little about yourself? How long you've been coaching, where your stops have been, kind of.
All right, cool, man.
I mean, yeah.
I was gonna say, how long you got, man? Because it's gonna be a while.
Yeah, give us the Coach Woods, coaching kind of background and history.
Got you. So, I went to Virginia Tech, man. I mean, I didn't play football there. I was just a student, I always tell the story, I went in, I graduated from college, and my mom was like, you got to give back, right? And I was like, well, how am I going to give back? And, she was like, I was like, all right, I'm going to coach football. Like, I was like, I'm going to do something I enjoy, that I love. How can I help young men? Because I had so many phenomenal coaches that helped me growing up and helped me through life, right? So give back, right? So I get on the phone. I call up the McLean Youth League Association, which, I don't even know if they still exist. I think they actually got brought back a year or two ago, right? And I said, hey, I'd love to volunteer and help out. Guy by the name of Steve Wilmer says, hey, man, show up to the VFW on a Thursday at 8:00. I'm like, all right, great. So I'm like, I'm excited, man. I show up, I'm sitting there, about 20 minutes in, he goes, oh, I want to introduce you to our new 110-pound head football coach, Obie Woods. And I'm like, what? I'm like, hey, coach, bro. I was like, I just wanted to volunteer. Like, how you give me a head coaching job? And, this is to give you an idea of where I am. My first class in college was Introduction to the Internet. So, kids come out the womb nowadays and they get introduced to the internet just by handing them the cell phone, right? So, I get my head coaching job, McLean Youth League, I'm there for like 2 years. this is before, you can go online and go to clinics and Glacier and all that stuff, so I'm looking at Madden trying to get plays. I played defense growing up, man. All I know how to do is tackle. I don't know, I play corner. Like, I don't know anything about offense. So I'm trying to figure out how to coach these kids, man. Phenomenal group of young men, man. And then I ended up getting the head freshman football coach at McLean High School. So I was at McLean High School, Coach Wilmer, who this man today, mentored me, helped me get that job, that gig. I was at McLean for a year. Then I moved over to South Lakes. I was at South Lakes for a while. And then I went to Virginia Academy for the first stint with Antoine Randall, and a couple other guys, Mr. Jim Larson. And we started that football program there. But while that was going through that time, I started the Dulles Elite Football Association with those guys, with, Coach T, Coach Cotton, which are, DJ Cotton's father and Ty Felton's dad, really good, close guys for me, good friends. And we started that program, and that program hit off the chop, man. Because, we're placing national competition, regional competition as a youth league, like just killing it, right? Going down to Florida, coming in third because we lost the first game, but that's a bitter moment. I don't want to talk about that, but then blowing everybody else out and doing just phenomenal, man. Had a phenomenal team, phenomenal group of young men. So then after that, I left Virginia Academy, and then I kind of was, hanging around a little bit, doing some consulting for Dominion High School with Coach Buckwalter, helping out with the freshmen and stuff like that. And then I moved on to PVI, spent a year at PVI with Coach Grandizio, his first year as the head coach. Great experience, man, good stuff, but, then I ended up kind of moving, and then I ended up going to O'Connell. So I coached at O'Connell for a year underneath Coach Dish. Coach Dish ended up actually getting let go that same year. And you know how that works, man. If you're on staff, it's either like, you're in limbo, right? Do you want to stay or do you not? Like kind of where it is, right? So ended up leaving O'Connell and following a young man by the name of Bryce Jackson, who I coached with his father, Jesse Jackson, who was the OC at Brentsville, took over for me, but was the DC when we first got over there with Coach Lauren White. And did a great run to I guess the semifinals with Brentsville, and went and faced a phenomenal Phoebus team that just put it on us, bro. Like, I mean, you're talking about like, just some athletes, man. Like that was crazy. But a great run, and then I came over and started Virginia Academy football program, and been there since this upcoming, this past season. And now we're here. And oh, I'm sorry, I skipped I was at Patriot High School. So I went to O'Connell, went to Patriot High School. Jesse Jackson, like I said, good guy. Son Bryce, played safety, phenomenal athlete, one of the best, smartest football players I've ever had an opportunity to coach. And then I went to Brentsville for a year. And then I made it over to Virginia Academy, man. And then, I was at Virginia Academy for, I guess, 3 seasons, and now I'm over here starting LSA, man.
Awesome.
Wow. Yeah, you weren't kidding. That's a book right there, Coach. That's
I told you. I mean,
no, it is. I mean, that's a lot of different stops.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's impressive. And I mean, they got the right guy with the right background to start you're starting a new program from scratch. That's got to be fun. Out of all the stops, this is the first time you've been at a brand new school, correct?
Yeah. Brand new school. Absolutely. So, it's, Virginia Academy, I've been around for a while, and it was my second stint there. Try to bring something special to that school, man. But just sometimes you gotta make moves, and you gotta do kind of what's best for you, man, at the end of the day, and what's best for them too. Like they decided they wanted a different direction. They have a different plot, or they have a different vision and goal, and we just didn't align. So it made sense. It made sense to separate, man.
So talk to us a little bit how this all came about. You going to a Loudoun Sports Academy. I mean,
so
for a while, or just kind of how this all came about.
Yeah, so I've always kind of been fooling around with the idea or the thought about it, for the last 2 years, really, and just being like, hey, is there something that we could, just being in the school system and kind of being around, like, don't get me wrong, public school's great. Like, like especially in this area, especially when you come from North Carolina, where it's like public school is terrible. Like, I'm sorry, it is what it is, right? And then moving up here and just, and seeing what, good public schools are, right? We have some of the best public schools in the nation up here, right? But I looked at a lot of it as, what are you really doing throughout the day in the public school, right? Like a lot of it's babysitting, man. Like how much time do you spend learning? How much time do you spend kind of just like milling around, just getting by, right? So, we looked at Loudoun Sports Academy, looked at something starting up as far as like, okay, how can we focus education, focus academics, and then focus on the sport, right? And making sure we're doing that, and helping these young men that have a dream or desire to go play college football, give them the best opportunity to do that. When I was growing up, man, you didn't have trainers, like, you didn't have a quarterback trainer, you didn't have a, corner trainer, like you just played the sport, like, and I joke because I'm like, everybody can throw a football, big skill or small skill, you're out playing in the yard, like everybody could do everything, but, kids don't do that these days, man. They're not out, playing pickup tackle football or pickup basketball or having rock wars and stick wars, I would do all that crazy stuff, man, and go play manhunt in the woods. Like, you ask a kid to go run in the woods nowadays, he looking like you crazy, like, so, we were like, hey, how do we focus? And then, my director of education, my NCAA eligibility consultant, Miss Sinead Howard is phenomenal, man. I don't know if you know anything about her. I'll give you the information. You can look her up. She does seminars all across the country about making sure kids are eligible, and getting them eligible. There's certain rules that you can apply to, students that have, I guess it's like 504 or what is it? What's it called? Like the learning plans or whatever.
IEP.
Like the IEPs.
Yeah, IEPs that they can actually get credit for other classes towards their core GPA. But like, who all know, I didn't know that, and so it's called EID or whatever, through the NCAA. So, when she's telling me this and I'm working with her, I'm like, man, this is phenomenal. Like let's figure out what we can do to help these young men and help them get to the next level, right? And so with her being my director of education and setting up that platform and doing that, so, our academic standpoint is we use a couple online curriculums, and then we have Liberty University Online. So we have a partnership with them to be able to provide, educational courses, and those are college courses with college professors for, our oldest guys, right? Like our seniors, and even a junior, right? So I always tell the story, we had a young man that is now at Ferrum University, right? And he's a freshman right now. He started in January. So he's an early grad. And come fall, he's gonna be a sophomore already, right? Oh, wow. So with that being said, I mean, you're winning, because now that team wants you around for 4 years, right? So now they're gonna pay for grad school. So he's gonna step out the door with a master's that's paid for, right? So it's like, I mean, that's winning, man. So to me, I'm like, that's the plan for all my guys. I'm like, we don't, you have to show up and go to class, unless you have a 3.6 or 3.7. If you have a 3.6 or if you have a 3.6 or 7 or higher, and I let the parents even set it too, like you can do a lot of your online learning at home too as well, if that's what you really want to do. But like I said, we're not gonna have any guys in our program with lower than 3.6s, man. Like, this is not gonna happen. Like, I'm gonna put the pedal to them. Like, they understand what it's about. And the great thing about it is they all have like minds. They're all trying to achieve a goal, right? They all have the desire to play college football. I don't have kids that are being forced to go to school just because they're forced to go to school, right? Or I don't have guys that, want to be in the band, or, there's nothing wrong with that, right? But like, everybody has a like goal and a like mindset, and we're striving towards something together. And that's why I love the vision of LSA, man. And that's a big thing for me. And like I said, we've, Miss Sinead and I, or Miss Howard and I, have been for the last 2 years, like just putting guys kind of through this program and getting them to college, man, and getting them there. So, the academics are there, the structure's there. Each kid has their individual learning plan. So it's not like it's like, hey, what are you going to take? What is your core requirements to fill? Like they have a learning plan that they have to follow. So
tell me a little about for the audience, a little about LSA in terms of kind of how it came to be, how it started, and sort of some of the things that it offers, football included, but some of the other stuff too.
Oh yeah, no. So we, and like I said, it came to fruition purely because, I was always on the plan of doing this. And if you look at our partnership with VA Revolution Soccer, they already have RSA, which is Revolution Soccer Academy, right? So they have the same model already. Like, they've been doing it, right? And they've been doing it for the last 2 years. And, that's been like their plan. And like they said, they do this all over the country, right? For soccer academies, right? So very similar. We just said, hey, we're going to play American football and not football, right? So, it's, from that standpoint, I look at it as, we're going to offer, rehab, because we have a great partnership with a company called Rehab to Perform, which, I ruptured my Achilles back in June playing soccer with my daughter, which I'm way too old to be doing. My mind was like go, and my body was like no.
Take it easy, coach. You got to take it easy.
Oh man, I'm done, man. I might not run again for the rest of my life, to be honest with you. I'm gonna sit down and get fat. But with them, they're gonna come in and do some soft tissue clinics with us and stuff like that to help preventative maintenance on guys, and they're gonna come in and just talk to them and tell them what they need to do. They also got a plan with a couple nutritionists. So we're gonna, talk to guys about nutrition and kind of make sure we're having elite athletes. And then, we obviously, from that standpoint, if anything, God forbid anything happened to a kid really seriously, it's right down the street. They can go to, Rehab to Perform, and, they do commanders, hockey guys, MLS guys. They got a whole wide range of guys they take care of. Any point in time you go in there, you'll see, some professional athlete in there, right? But, with the partnership with them and the concussion clinic they have, we can get kids there like ASAP and, and get them going and do the best thing to get them back on the field, safely and in a timely manner, right? No more waiting around from that standpoint, right? And then they also, they will plan and work with our athletic trainers to make sure that, the guys are following those plans accordingly like they should, which is, like I said, which is phenomenal, from that standpoint, So we got that aspect of things, obviously we got strength and conditioning, aspect of that and conditioning and going through that. And then, the football training, right? So right now we offer O-line training for free on Sundays from 6 to 7 with my O-line coach. So like if anybody wants to slide out, come slide out. Like you can get some free. And, he played at University of New Hampshire. He went to Tuscarora High School. He's a couple years removed from college from that standpoint, but, phenomenal coach, man, phenomenal mind, man. He's a great young mind. And I love bringing on young guys that have just got out of the sport that really know it, and with some veteran guys to help them, kind of build them up as coaches and get them going on. But they know it, man. These young guys know so much stuff, compared to us old heads, and I'm all about leveraging, their knowledge and, obviously, me spending 25 years of coaching football, right? So, from that perspective, LSA, that's what we offer from those aspects, right? But we also, we're going to have a track program as well. So I'm like, fellas, you got to run track, or you got to wrestle. And I'm working on getting the wrestling program with us too as well. So, just building that out and making sure we have some dual sport athletes. I can't tell you how many times college coaches go, hey, is that time track verified? And I go, fellas, that's why I tell you to run track all the time. Like, you think I'm just saying this just to say it, So, just things that, help young men kind of get in the path, and get them in direction and get them in front of the, the coaches and coaching staffs and get them the opportunities. I always kind of tell guys, it takes nothing to help a 4 or 5 star get recruited. A 4 or 5 star gets recruited himself, like plain and simple, right? There's nothing you got to do as a coach. Like, I can't take credit for anything a young man does from that aspect, right? They get themselves there, right? But it's the guys that are the, lower level, FCS guys, or the D2 guys that are kind of right there on the edge, or the D3, D2 guys that are on the edge, or the guys that you really have to help. And that's just having a network of, college coaches and having coaches around you that have a network of college coaches to help them get recruited and put them out there, right? I tell young men all the time, at the end of the day, like getting recruited for college is 90% on you. And that's taking care of your body, eating properly, getting the proper sleep. Young men don't understand, like, you got to sleep. Like that's very important for your development and your growth, right? Number one thing is obviously the grades, which I should have listed first. Sorry, I didn't do that, right? Moms, don't slap me, which is big, right? And then, and I hope I said weight room already, because, definitely weight room and getting after that, right? But then the other 10% is on me as your coach, right? Like, and I got to give you 100% of that 10%. And that's me helping you, marking you, putting you in the right place and the opportunities to get those opportunities and looks, right? But at the end of the day too, right? Like, I can be best friends with the supermodel, but I can't get her to date you. And that's what I tell kids all the time. So you got to work that out yourself, and then two, don't beg for a spot, right? Love the school. Like, want them to want you to go there. If I have to call up a school and beg to get you on a roster and like, then it's never going to work out. It's never worked out in any time of all the years I've been doing this. It's just never worked out. So go where you're wanting, and appreciate the school, and don't go just because the coach is there, because coaches get jobs, or like jobs they think are better than the job they have all the time, right? Or they end up getting fired. Like what's the average tenure of a college coach? Like, who knows, right? Like it's probably like this, couple years, right? But yeah, man, that's kind of in a nutshell what we offer at LSA. You know, we want to, get guys prepared to go to the next level, man. And we want guys that work hard and are committed, and that's what they want to do,
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's good. The one thing, talking about to some of the parents and people who've been kind of writing us and had questions about some of the academies in general, right? That are kind of springing up in the area. How about a day? A day is like what does a day look like? You start at what time?
Oh,
And
perfect.
then and you end at what time, and kind of walk us through each period of that kind of thing.
All right, no doubt. Absolutely, absolutely. So a day in the life of an LSA student, right? Is you show up at 8:15 for drop off, all right? And then 8:30 to 11:30 a.m. we have an academic block, all right? And then 11:30 to 12:15 we break for lunch and film. So while we're doing lunch, guys are sitting down and we're going through film with them. And we're going through whether film from practice or whether it's film from the previous game, but we're going through film, right? We're looking at what we're doing, where we're training, where we are, where we could be more efficient, right? So then at 12:15, we have another break for 15 minutes. So that's like 12:15 to 12:30. All right. And then from 12:30 to 150, we're doing strength and conditioning. And we're alternating through big skill and small skill. So those guys are, working on their craft, doing what they can do from conditioning, getting them prepared to play football, right? Getting their bodies ready. And then we do another break from 150 to about 210. All right. And then on the field at 210 to 440, we're practice or field work. If we're in season, we're going through our practice structure and our schedule from that standpoint. And then at 4:45, man, these kids are gone out the door. Like they're dismissed. Yeah. So that's your day, at Loudoun Sports Academy.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So, who are some guys that I mean, I don't know if you can start announcing who you start to have on your roster. I'm not sure if you, because I know the St. James have kind of put that stuff out. Guys are getting. Are there any guys that you got right now that you can talk about that are going to be?
Yeah, I mean, we gotta, and some guys I can't talk about. So,
for sure, yeah. No, we get it. Yeah.
And I'm telling the guys that know. I'm like, I'm not gonna say your name because you're still in a situation, and I can't,
I got
some people can be petty. Sometimes people can be petty, man, and I'm not trying to, impact any of those guys.
Yeah.
But a couple guys, like for instance, like Rashad Fortune, who played for us last year at Virginia Academy, like he's coming over. He's big at defensive end. He's got a lot of looks from colleges for him. Right now he's on a lot of guys' radars, which is great. Phenomenal young man. Work ethic is through the roof, man. Like works his tail off, man. Great young man. Let me see. I got a quarterback, or a couple quarterbacks, that are coming that are good guys that are going to go and compete and get after it. I'm not gonna list their names right now just because.
I got you.
They're in situations, right? They got to kind of work through. A young man by the name of Caleb Finley, who played center for me last year at Virginia Academy. He's been with me for pretty much the entire time. Who's a rising senior this year? Who's going to play some defensive tackle? And when I say he's a dog, man, correction, he's a wolf. Because wolves eat dogs. And that's what I talk about. Right? So this kid is a wolf, man. Like he gets after it, man. And I feel honestly, for me as a coach, I feel like I did him an injustice last year because we only had one center. And so he played center and did an awesome job at it, and it's just nasty. He's just a nasty individual in the trenches, man. But on defense, I watched him play in the Friendship Collegiate game. If you want to go back and look at that film, he's beating double teams. You know what I'm saying? He's splitting double teams. He's wreaking havoc in the backfield. In the Virginia Academy last year, we lost the Friendship Collegiate by a point or by a touchdown. One touchdown, man, at the end of the day, right? And, we stepped in there and they looked at us like we were going to beat a mud hole in y'all. And I was like, nah, not necessarily. So it was a great game, great, phenomenal competition game, and they got the dub at the end of the day. But Caleb showed me a lot, man. So he's going to be playing a lot of defense for us this year, Caleb Finley.
Okay.
I got I'm trying to think of all the guys I can, and we can touch base again another time.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
No doubt.
I just don't want to put anybody out there.
I thought you might have a few guys that you might want to throw out there right now that kind of put them out in the ether. So talk about your staff. Who do you got coaching with you? What are you still filling your staff? What do you got?
Our staff's pretty full, man. I kind of went back to the well, some guys that I've coached with over the years, and then I brought over a majority of the guys from Virginia Academy, that wanted to come and get on board from that standpoint. Like I said, really good friend of mine. And he's probably gonna kill me, but I've been putting him out here anyway. My good friend Jesse Jackson, man, like I said, his son Bryce Jackson, like he's coming on board, for defense, which is, he's a phenomenal coach, man. Like great mind, man. Really good with young men too, man. Very patient, right? And that's my thing is, man, these days, kids are different, right? Like they ask a lot of questions. They're intuitive, like they're gonna question everything you say, right? And you gotta kind of be patient with them. And it gets to a level of almost borderline disrespect, but you got to be like, no, that's just who they are. You know what I'm saying? Like, and be okay with it, right? So just a great coach, man, great mind. Like I said, he's coming over from Brentsville where he was the OC, but he'll come over and be on the defensive side of the ball for us, and handle things like that. Coach Dante Absher, who, played wide receiver in the league, he was with Arizona and he was with the Cardinals, and then went to Canadian Football League for a while. So phenomenal on the offensive side of the ball with him, being on staff too as well. Coach Ramel Mead, who coached corners for us for the last couple seasons. His son Domingo Mead's actually going to St. Aslam, phenomenal football player. Coach Mead also played at Temple, played corner at Temple. So he'll be with the corners we have right there. I got a good friend of mine, Javon Jackson, who's coached for me for years, who's going to do outside backers. Or jokers in our case. We run a 4-2-5, but then we kind of morph into some other stuff, but I don't want to give away any of our secrets quite yet. Yeah. And then Coach Ron Hicks, who actually brought me on the South Lakes years ago and really taught me what it was like to be a coach, man, and really gave me the path to be just successful, which I'm truly appreciative of him. But he's coaching middle linebackers and he's going to be our JV head coach. Which is great because he's really good with the younger guys and getting them prepared and getting them fundamentally sound and bringing them up. Coach Chris Bray, who's at Stonebridge for a long time, who's going to come over and coach backs for us, running backs. Coach Tom Soska, quarterbacks, as well as Coach Richie Hernandez for quarterbacks too as well. And then I got a couple of guys who played for me that were in college that are coming back to like Mason and got some internships and stuff going on. So they're going to come on staff and help out and support, which is great too as well. Coach Steve Witt, special teams coordinator, and also our strength and conditioning guy. Like he's phenomenal at what he does. He's methodical, man. Like, great football minds, man. Great guys that are really dedicated into helping young men get to the next level. Coach Terrence Fields, who's, coaching defensive ends, who's, he's been in the youth league world for forever, man. He's been coaching for years, man. Like just a great guy, man. And just genuinely wants to help kids, man. Really good guy. It's like a brother, all these guys are like my brothers, which I love having them on staff because I'm excited about the future. And then Coach Pat Graham, who was over at Bullis, coaching D-line there, sent a couple guys to the next level. He's phenomenal. He played college to himself as well. He's an awesome guy, man. Super excited about him. Just being on board and going from that path, standpoint. And then, like I said, my O-line coach, Coach Gabe Elficki, who's phenomenal at what he does. Like I said, University of New Hampshire grad, played lineman there. Wide receivers, running backs, quarterbacks. I think I might have touched on everybody, man.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
That's solid staff, man. That's impressive. Yeah, I was gonna say, now what do you project? And again, I know we're in March, April, that kind of thing. So what do you project as far as numbers? You think, what are you hoping for?
Yeah, so we got a lot of interest, man. We got tons of kids. I run a tracker, man. I do IT project management in my other job that pays the bills. We got about 30 kids on board right now. 35, which is great.
Yeah, that is good.
And then, I got about another 25 kids that are highly interested, that are coming out and doing visits and things like that. And we're just getting more and more kids every day, which is great, man. So, I mean, honestly, man, at the end of the day, I think we'll be around like 50, 60.
That for inaugural year, and that's phenomenal.
Yeah. Oh, like I said, man, I'm excited, man. I'm truly excited, man. So, we should have a JV in a varsity football program, and we'll float, kind of like, we'll have some guys that'll swing, play both ways, especially our younger guys, kind of getting them on board and going from there. So
now, coach, for the games,
phenomenal.
Let me ask you for the games. When you might have a couple of podcasters that want to watch some of these games sometimes on Fridays or Saturdays. When are you guys going to go? And when you do go, is it always Fridays? Do you do sometimes Saturdays?
We got,
And when you go, is there going to be some kind of streaming capability?
yeah, we're definitely gonna stream. I got a company, like Coach Sampson has his, his media company that he's streaming. So, we'll have our game streamed from that perspective. I give you kind of idea of our schedule, and I don't know if you've seen it yet or not, but it is on Twitter. But we got St. John's Catholic Prep first scrimmage out the gate. And then we got Putnam Science Academy out of Connecticut, that we're gonna play at the St. James on the 23rd, and kind of like this round robin like jamboree of teams playing, that weekend. Then we got Legacy Academy out of Richmond, which is they tried to start up last year. They had issue with numbers, so they're getting more kids on board, but they'll be rocking and rolling this year, which will be great. Then we play the St. James on that Saturday 9.
Oh, that's gonna be the rumble right there. I can't wait for that one, Coach. I'm excited about. We were talking to Coach Do about that, and I just it's fun, and I like the kind of the fun competition, local competition. It's fun.
Oh, I love it, man. I'm the type coach, man, at the end of the day, man, like I'm not gonna cry about getting beat, bro. Like, and I just say that from a standpoint of like, I just look at it like, man, I owe you one. Like, you can whoop my tail, man. The next year I owe you one. Like, I'm gonna try to get my get back, right? So like, to me, football's a phenomenal game, man. It's a phenomenal sport. It teaches young men how to get through life. It's the ultimate simulation of life to me. And sometimes, you win and you learn, right? Like you just have to learn. So, we got Mount Zion Prep, which is, that Coach McDonald's a really good guy, man, good friend of mine, man. We talk about it all the time and just making this huge rivalry, playing this crab bowl, the Maryland Crab Bowl.
That was a battle last year. That was a war last year.
Man, we should have got him too, man. He got me at the end, man. It was killing me inside, man. We're up by 2 touchdowns, man. It's funny how fickle football is, right? But stuff that we have to clean up and be better at, right, as a football team. Then we play Bullis School, so we got that, which is great. Then we play Life Christian Academy out of Richmond. We play Ron Brown Preparatory High School out of DC. Then we play St. Francis Academy Regional. Then we got PVI. My man Grandizio always gives me that game, man. I appreciate it, man. That's always a battle, man. That dude's got me, I guess, the last 3 years, man, which is just killing me in my soul, man. But I gotta get him, man. I gotta get him, man. I owe him one. I owe him a couple. And then we got Riverdale Baptist, which they're tough. So excited to play them. And then we turn around and then we have our conference playoffs, which is November 1st. And then we have our conference championship, which we could possibly see those Clarkson North guys, and that's a phenomenal football team, man, out of Canada, man. And they're just like, they're dudes. They're certified dudes. Across the board last year, man, they were like 6'7", 6'5", 6'4", 6'4", 6'6", and it's like, 310 pounds. I'm like, this is like a small college offensive line, bro. And they're just phenomenal, man. Great.
That's because in Canada, they a lot of shoveling, snow and stuff. They do that Drago training, over there.
Exactly, man. Exactly. Not too many people are gonna know what that Drago training is. But yeah, they're so well coached, man. They're just very well coached, man, and very disciplined, man. They do a phenomenal job up there, man. And then we turn around and play our bowl game against Friendship Collegiate, at the end of the season on 11/14, man. So, I'll definitely send you guys the schedule, man, the times, man.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Have you guys, even if you can make it out, man, come out, man. You're always welcome. You're always welcome to come to a practice if you want to come out and hang out and see what we do, man. I'm all about being open to everybody in the media and just, anybody, man. Anybody wants to come out, man. Come peep us out.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Yeah, please do. And those games vary Fridays and Saturdays depending on.
Yeah. So we got some Saturdays in there. We got some Fridays. We're about checking the split here. Let me see. Well, we have 6 Saturday games.
I like that. It'll be fun.
6 Friday games. So it's a good mix, man. It's a very good mix.
Yeah.
So, what is your vision for Loudoun Sports Academy? I mean, do you where do you see this going? Do you see eventually joining a local region? Do you see this becoming a national thing? I mean, what is your, not necessarily your goal, but where do you see this going? I mean,
I see it, man.
The next 5 years, where do you see this going?
Oh man, next 5 years, man. That's a great question. My thing is we obviously have to grow and build, right? But you got to kind of start from the bottom, right? It's like getting those young kids in, building the culture, kind of getting that going, right? So this year, like I said, we'll have a JV and a varsity football team, all right? Next year, I plan on having a 12U team, right? So plan on getting sixth graders in, sixth and seventh graders, right? And sixth and seventh graders can play in a 12U. So parents, no longer do you go and take your kid to practice at 6 p.m. at night and they don't get home till 8 or whatever. Like they're going to practice during the day just like the big fellas do, and then we're going to play in a league. We'll play in a league from that standpoint, working through that. So like I said, a 12U team, and then our eighth graders all play JV anyway, so that doesn't even matter. They play eighth grade, or eighth graders play JV, we go from there. And then we'll have our varsity football team, and then I'm going to go ahead and make the announcement now. Like our plan for 26 is to have a post-grad team. So we're trying to bring post-grad football to Northern Virginia, man. And not make kids have to go to Fork Union Military Academy, which is 3.5 hours away, or the Hargraves, that's just not close, I'm trying to give those kids those opportunities from all over, to kind of get that extra year under their belt if they need it for growth and development. I don't know if anybody like me, man. I mean, I was like 5'6" until like my junior year of high school. And then I ended up like growing 2 inches, and I grew another 2 inches in college, So, and I'm still not tall, but but I still grew, right?
Me and Dash both know about that.
It's funny, man. My mom would joke around. I was like, Mom, I'm not gonna be able to touch the pedals. Like I can't drive. It's embarrassing. Like, what am I supposed to do? I'm like short round on Indiana Jones with the blocks on the gas pedal and the brake, right?
Are you guys gonna be reclassing there? Are you guys?
Yeah, so we do give the reclass option for young men. As long as it works out. Like we don't carry anybody past the age of 19. Like we follow the VHSL rule from that standpoint. Like you can't, play if you're, you turn 19 before August 31st or whatever.
Yeah.
So all of our guys are age eligible from that perspective. But man, in the next 5 years, man, like I said, building up those programs, building up those football programs, having great staffs, kind of, maintain those football programs from that standpoint, and just being able to, produce some good football, man, and travel, man. Like at Virginia Academy, like we put the pads on in the spring. We played a game in the spring, and that's still the path, the plan. We probably won't get a spring football game this year because I got kids that are still going to other schools and stuff like that. But next year, man, we will play a spring football game. Whether I got to get us to Texas or Florida or something, like we're gonna go and travel and play, man, and compete.
Oh, wow.
And that's my big thing, man, is that national scale. Like the math coach would call me and be like, "Hey, man, you want to play?" And I was like, "Bro, I don't know if we're ready for that yet at Virginia Academy." It's like I still got guys like we got built to. But my goal is to play those teams, and be competitive in those games, right? Because at the end of the day, man, it's good to have competition, but you don't want to go play every game and you just get your head beat in. Like that's not good for your kids, right? Like it's not good for your morale, right? Like I'm not saying you want cupcakes, but you want games that challenge you, that you can go compete in. So, I want to be able to compete with those teams, in the future. And I want kids to stop leaving Northern Virginia to go to those schools. At the end of the day, I want to keep our guys home. You got to take care of your backyard, right? If you're not taking care of your backyard, then what are you doing in the recruiting game, man?
Well, actually, that's what I was going to ask you. So, in terms of that, are you trying to do, primarily, Virginia right now? Do you plan on expanding beyond that? And if so, housing's always an issue, right? For that, for that kind of thing. So, what do you think about that?
Yeah, man, we got host families, man. I got coaches, the kids live. I got kids living in my basement, bro. Like to be honest, we got kids that are coming from like an hour and a half away, 2 hours away, some guys potentially coming from PA, kind of branching off into West Virginia too as well. We do offer that opportunity, for guys to come from all over to kind of play for us, and kind of go that path. So yeah, I mean, man, if you want to get out here and you want to get it, man, we'll find a way. And that's what I always say, I want to be, I want to be able to, and there's some plans in the works with some of our partners to be able to, get some dorm room kind of things and some housing, some stuff, plans like that too as well. So, we're all working, we're working towards that and getting that going too as well.
So are you guys December grads? Are you guys?
December grads too. Yep. So if you want to graduate in December, you can graduate in December. It's just, obviously you got to be eligible in the credits, and some of the guys, they need to boost their GPA and stuff like that. So they'll hang around for the full year just to make sure they're on the plan. But Miss Howard handles all of that, man. She's phenomenal at what she does from that. She'll make sure guys are eligible and they're they're on the right path of playing.
The other question I had, I think you mentioned it, and it went by really quickly. Now, at the Virginia Sports Academy, does the Sports Academy have a strength coach? Do you bring your own strength coach? I mean, how does that work as far as your strength?
Yeah, so like I said, our strength and conditioning coach is Coach Witt. He played at Wingate. Played tight end at Wingate. phenomenal guy, really into like, lifting and strength, done a lot of, just a lot of background for him from that aspect, and then two, I plan on partnering with a couple other organizations too as well. I got a good friend by the name of Charlie Chandler, over at C4 that we want to do some stuff with them, obviously, moving forward and stuff like that. And then we have like, Coach Absher does a lot of training for, speed and agility. And also, he does some strength stuff too as well. So, he's our, director of player development. Coach Absher is, and that's who, he played for, he was in the league as a wide receivers coach or wide receiver. And then, he's our wide receivers coach and, and our offensive guy on that side. And then we got, like I said, Coach Witt, who's building through that. But, like my thing is, I feel like sometimes you gotta have a plan. This is a structured plan, but you want to kind of take the good pieces from here and there, right? And you want to build that together and make sure guys are working and building, getting themselves together from that aspect.
That makes sense.
Now the Timberwolves, right? That's what we're saying, right? The Timberwolves. Now you put, and that I see the logo. Are you putting that logo on the helmet?
Yes, sir.
Because I like the old. It kind of reminds me of the old Timberwolves logo. And that was one of my favorite logos back in the day, back in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, and we were looking at it because we were like, oh, the Tigers. Do we want to be the Tigers? And I was like, well, the LSA is kind of close to the LSU Tigers. But then, Independence up the streets, the Tigers, right? And I was like, oh, we can't be the Tigers, And then it was like, a couple other options we thought about. But then, I always thought about it, and I was like, I thought about wolves and sheep, man. And I was like, man, we're gonna be wolves, man, because wolves eat dogs, man. I don't know if you ever seen a pack of wolves get after something. It's like, that's some vicious stuff, right? And I was like, I want our guys to be wolves, man. I want them to just have that mentality, man, and and just fight hard. So that's how we kind of came with that, man.
Now with the scholarships, and now I know it can be done a gazillion different ways. Probably, are you guys offering scholarships, and if so, are they partial, full? Is it a combination of all the above? How you guys plan on doing that?
Yeah, so we offer financial aid, and it's need based, so I'll evaluate every situation, how it comes in. We sit down as a board and we talk about it and figure out, who really needs it from that standpoint, and we go from there. We don't want to ever turn away somebody who wants to play football that just can't afford it. Like, that's not who we are. So we were working on sponsorships and things like that to help take care of kids. My man, like I said, Coach Ron Hicks actually has a nonprofit called Pay to Play, where he helps young men and young women pay for athletics that can't afford it, right? So, kind of working with him to do some things for certain guys that we have on board that need it and need help, and that's big for me. I don't ever want somebody to not be able to, to want to do it and be dedicated and have the heart, but they just can't afford it, especially young men. So, financial aid's needs based. We're 11K, man. Like at the end of the day, like it's $11,000.
That's pretty cheap for Northern Virginia for a private school.
Exactly. Right. So
it actually is. Does that include you talked about a lot of stuff earlier? Does that include all that? Is there anything that's a la carte or anything like that?
No, that's it. That's everything, man. 11K is out the door, man. Full price, full, and good from that aspect,
Yeah. I agree with you. Wait, are you guys going to host some kind of a? I know you do. I think the open, the free, lineman training is a phenomenal idea, by the way. Are you guys going to offer any kind of open kind of? I don't want to use the word combine or tryout, but
open camp, like an open.
Yeah,
camp.
I mean, we pretty much do everything. We want to be super personal about it from a standpoint, like so we have to be just as good of a fit for them as they are for us, right? So I want to get to know the guys. So I bring in families on a pretty much on a ad hoc basis. We do many open houses. So if you're interested, all you got to do is reach out to me. I'll bring you to the facilities. We'll tour the facilities. I'll talk about what we do as a program and what we offer. And if it seems like it's a good fit for you, then, we get you signed up and get you rocking and rolling, man. I don't plan on really doing a huge tryout. Just to be honest, like that's sometimes you get value out of that. Sometimes you don't, right? I want more people that are more really focused and committed on coming, from a standpoint of just doing a tryout, sometimes people just show up just to try out, and I'm like, like, what do I, I want you to commit it. I want you to be here,
Right. I like a lot that I heard here. I think a lot of this information is I'm impressed, because
Oh,
early on, right? I mean, it's if inaugural year, it's so many layers to, kind of getting it off the ground and going. And like you said, it helps that there was the kind of the soccer model before.
yep,
So,
yep.
and also, and then you were at an academy, also nearby. So you bring that experience and that wealth of knowledge with you. Yeah, I like I like what I hear, Coach.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. And I just want to, I want to like Revolution Sports Academy, man, has been phenomenal to us, man. Like, or Soccer Academy, sorry, Revolution's football club, right? Like, just, those guys over there, man, are just like, they're about building something special, man. So for us to be able to go in, they were like, hey, man, look, come, we welcome you with open arms. Like, come in here and let's get after it. Let's build something great. So, my hat's off to those guys, man. We couldn't do it without them. So I'm super excited about that. And we all know how hard it is to get field space in this area and just be, and they have a phenomenal facility, man. So, it's funny because I joke around with them, right? Because they were like, oh man, we got the stadium, like, we'll line the stadium field. I was like, no, you don't want to put football lines on that soccer field, man. People are like, you know what I'm saying? I was like, you want to tuck us back in the corner, like on field 4, But just like I said, great guys, man. They're just dedicated to helping us and helping us build a program. So I'm super excited about the partnership that we have with them.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you coming on. We'll definitely be in contact for sure. We'll see you at a game.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, absolutely, fellas. Like I said,
I'd
welcome
imagine
anytime.
if any game you'll see us at the Saint when you play St. James.
Oh, of course, you should be at all those, man. We got a whole bunch of those.
I'm fairly. I mean, not all, but that one in particular, I'm sure we'll be at.
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt.
Yeah. Again, we appreciate you. I mean, it sounds exciting. I can't wait to see what you're able to do there.
All right, thanks for having me, fellas.
Yeah, we'll be doing our rounds, Coach. Late spring, early summer. Trying to visit some different camps and stuff. So we'll obviously be in touch and try and get out there and see you guys sometime this summer.
No doubt, more than welcome, brother. More than welcome.
Hey, we appreciate it, Coach.
All right, fellas, y'all have a good one.
All right, Coach. All right, take care. Well, welcome back. Phenomenal interview with Coach Obie Woods at the Loudoun Sports Academy. I found a lot of that really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, hearing about him starting that program there, and then the VA Academy stuff, and it was our first venture into Loudoun, right? I felt like we were in a strange new world. Felt like we were landing on the moon for the first time. One small step for man, one giant leap for the All Hitches podcast.
Yeah, it really was, and I mean, with having 30 ish numbers, and then hoping for like 50-ish, but those are great numbers for an inaugural season at a private academy.
Yeah, and then he has some big plans, right? He's gonna have young kids, and then possibly a post grad school or grad.
Oh,
school.
you love I know you're a post grad school kind of guy. You love that.
What?
I don't. I feel like you're a fan of the idea.
I mean, I think it has some merit to it. Consider the fact we don't have JUCO football here, right? That's
yes. That's what I'm referring to.
Yeah. No JUCO football in the area will be helpful, right?
That could end up like you said. You and I were talking about this a little bit ago off camera, and I think that could end up being they go that route. I agree with you. I think that could end up being huge for them.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Because that would be your only option in the area of Fairfax being the largest school districts in the nation, along with Loudoun and Prince William, and all those kids who don't get any offers. That's the only place to go. I mean. And they don't burn any eligibility. I mean,
and they live here.
Right?
You don't have to worry about dorms or anything.
They can commute.
Yes.
Yeah, that's that. I'm not trying to denigrate the other stuff he's doing, but I think that one right there might explode.
I think so too. So yeah, I loved a lot of the things I heard. I love the price point.
Yeah.
I know you got like you said, you got, he wants people to come and experience it and see what it's like. And you got to love the school you're going to be at and that kind of thing. So you can't base anything just on money. I understand that. However, that's a great price point.
Yeah, it is. It's yeah. I thought it was more than that, but here, $11,000. I mean,
yeah. And to get all that stuff that you're getting the training, you're getting the, the workouts, you're getting the school, you're getting they're on the Liberty. You're getting some college credits too. I mean, you can't beat some of that stuff.
No, it's pretty impressive.
So yeah, so Coach Obie Woods and obviously doing a Flint Hill 7-on-7 later. We'll probably try and catch some of those later in the spring, and we'll add maybe some of their games in our Friday night spotlight show. This fall, so it'll be kind of fun to and that was a hell of a schedule too.
Yeah, no,
They had some heavyweights in there.
Absolutely. It's gonna be pretty impressive.
Yeah, they weren't playing they weren't fighting the Brooklyn Brawler and
Very hard.
like you said, Paul Roma, Jim Powers. They weren't fighting those guys.
Hey, they were okay tag team.
Paul Roma and Jim Powers were barely mid card guys at best.
What are they called?
Barely.
Italian Stallion? No, what are they called?
You threw me off now. The Young Stallions.
Young Stallions. I knew it was
Yeah,
Stallion.
and they weren't young. They weren't young.
I mean, if we saw them today, they'd be young. We're old on
Yeah,
that.
that's true. That's true. We're older than Paul Roma and Jim
We are.
Powers were in their
We're older than Tony Soprano.
Yeah, we are.
We're Paulie.
we're Uncle Paulie.
Uncle Paulie.
Jeez, Paulie Walnuts.
Yeah.
But that really impressed by what I saw. I'm buying stock. I'm buying stock in both academies.
Oh, okay.
You can call me Commandant Lassard. Call me Lassard. I am buying stock in all the academies, my friend.
I'm sorry, you're more Mahoney than you are anything else.
Yeah, I probably am Mahoney. I was a big Mahoney fan. As a kid, I wanted to be a police officer just because of Mahoney. I thought it'd be fun to go in there and just do tricks and gags and stuff. I found out later on that if you act like that in real life, you get beaten with a sock probably. With soap in it. But I was convinced that and Stripes. I was convinced. Then I was a kid. I wanted to be in the military because I wanted to do what Bill Murray did in Stripes. Then I found out if you do that, you'll also get beat.
Yeah. Or just thrown in jail. So I mean, they could
or kicked out and dishonorably discharged. But it sounded cool as an 8-year-old watching Stripes in Police Academy. Man. But that good stuff, fun times. I can't wait to watch. You and I have been talking about this the last couple of weeks, and I am very excited about the storylines for this fall, and I can't wait to get into our August and July shows to start talking about these storylines.
Yeah, you've been talking about it for a while. You're chomping at the bit there.
I am chomping at the bit. I'm ready to get out there. Yeah. But yeah, good stuff, man. And we haven't lied to anyone. We told everyone we had heavyweight interviews, and we have delivered, right? Yeah. I mean, the last few weeks with Coach Cage, Coach Doc, and now Coach Obie Woods. I mean, we've been delivering.
We have been.
And we got more good ones coming, my friend.
You know what? Only the best. Only the best.
Only the best. That you're, like you said earlier, right? The voice, right? For Northern Virginia football, right here.
Yeah, we are. We are the voice. We are the eyes and ears of this institution, my friend.
That's right. Your dad work here? All right. Well, buddy, for Dash and Dan, all the Hitches, we'll see you next time.
See ya.